Hello, people of YouTube, it's Deepak here, and welcome to the DCS news for the 12th of April 2025. I hope you all enjoyed that, my most recent video on the Apache, all about the GTM mode of the fire control radar, ground targeting mode. That's going to give us kind of even more of a foundation of the things the FCR can do, and in subsequent tutorials we're going to take a little look at how we can link it to the TADs, and also how to make use of the data link with the FCR and the TSD, for that matter. So yes, stay tuned. I'm going to try and continue to churn these out without kind of having gaps like I've had over the last few weeks. Sometimes I've not managed to get it all filmed in time. Tea Kettle Barbecue, welcome to the stream. Tog, you found the video at last. Orleans Junkie, welcome. Pink Floyd, Mr. Yeti, Paul Dillon, Robbie Hobby, hey. One quick thing that I'm going to say at the beginning, a little bit of a channel update. For those of you who are Deepak's ground crew members, I'm going to be doing a little kind of voice session after the stream on the Deepak's ground crew Discord. Check the members' posts on YouTube for a link to the Discord if you're a member of Deepak's ground crew and you're not already on there. Get on that. And then, yes, we'll have an opportunity to hang out for a little bit after the stream and have a bit of a chat. If you want to get in on that, you have the option of clicking the join button below and joining Deepak's ground crew to gain access to that Discord server. But quick reminder to subscribe, like, and comment for everybody. And that's free. That doesn't even cost you anything. So anyway, let's jump on in. Let's have a little look at the news. And as is often the case, we have the one and only John Bloor with us to take a little bit of a peek at the news.
Howdy.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, it's been a mixed bag, isn't it? It's the continuous roller coaster, which is the Razbam drama, which seems to go from one thing to the other.
Yes.
And the really the news of the data transfer cartridge, which I joked with you. I said immediately as soon as I saw it, I went, "Oh my god, Deep's going to be well happy about this."
I am positively ecstatic. It's this is really good news for me. I've been hoping for a DTC for a long time. Those of you who've been long time watchers of the stream will know that I've banged on about it on multiple occasions. So I'm really excited for this, and it's hard to tell, obviously, at this stage, but it kind of looks like the implementation is quite nice, just based on the handful of screenshots that we have showing it off. Welcome to the stream, Sean I Am 81. So yeah, very psyched for this. But yeah, unfortunate about the Rasbam thing, although it's always hard to know. We'll talk about it more later, but it's always hard to know what to think about the Rasbam situation, because it is, like you say, it is this kind of roller coaster thing where it's like, we've got our accounts back, no one else can support our modules. We will support you guys forever. Our stuff's removed from the store. It's like, what?
Yeah, I'm just so tired of it now. Like, I think that's how everyone feels. It's like, it's almost like your parents like feel like telling you just divorce already. Just you take the car, you take the kids, you get the house. You know, it's just like, oh my god, this is getting to the stage now. It's like, just want to see the end of it.
I want to go and live with Daddy, Wags.
Yeah.
Anyway, Pink Floyd, Deep Hack Tour. Oh dear.
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh
just behind me, it's the Deep Hack Tour podcast.
What have you done? What have you done? Yes. Okay. I'm not going to try and recite any of that.
No.
Welcome, Mark S. Mr. Yeti, can you explain what the difference between DTC and just getting all the info in the mission editor? Well, you're asking the correct questions here, Mr. Yeti. That's a good point. Of course, when you're playing solo and you're playing like a kind of pre-prepared, pre-planned mission where somebody has spent a lot of time and set everything out for you, much of what you would want is already going to be in the mission file, with the exception of Well, actually, will it really be with the exception of? I was going to say things like your comms radios and so on being correctly programmed, but I guess a good mission editor will have done that for you as well. The reality is that even in a kind of solo experience, it might be the case that you want to overlay your own information into that mission file. So, we'll dive more into this when we look at the screenshots, but it looks like they're adding quite a wealth of information into this. The CMDS page that they show in the newsletter has per threat program associations and trigger levels, which is like amazing. I don't even know how you would do that in the mission editor. Well, you can't. You can't do that in the mission editor without DTC. The ability to be in, of course, this really comes out in multiplayer. So in multiplayer, no one's going to have spent the time individually pre-programming everything for the slots because there's no point, and also everybody has a different idea about what are good presets. So you can then create your own file that you bring with you into multiplayer, which will pre-program your countermeasures, your radio frequencies, perhaps even fixed points that you'll use for reference in your navigational system, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's just nice. And so much stuff right now that we manually program in the cockpit during startup, real pilots would never touch any of that stuff. Thinking about the Harrier, which is the one I fly around with the most, you're not setting up your countermeasures programs and programming your radio and things like that, setting up your displays. You're not doing that on a per startup basis. You have your cartridge. You've done all of that during desktop planning back in the squadron house, and you just bring that out with you to the aircraft, load it, and you're done. So it's going to be pretty good, I think.
Hopefully
Orleans,
the Tonka will get this as well. That'll be a nice thing as well when the Tonka does come out, because that was the whole big shebang, wasn't it? When the old what do you call it?
they
Tape
used
cassette.
audio cassettes.
Yeah.
The
The
original
Commodore
version,
64.
yeah, the original version of the Tornado used audio cassettes. They later replaced that functionality and had solid state, but they retained the cassette deck. And then in later versions of the Tornado, the backseater was able to play music through the intercom.
Perfect.
Because they left it in. Orleans Junkie, so have we ever gotten an official sorry or be patient or even a we didn't pay Razbam and we're going to compensate you for your loss, etc.? Orleans Junkie, I know the answer. The answer is no, but the reality is that it's probably quite limited what ED can say while this is in litigation. So I'm sure it's not for a lack of them wanting to say something. And you see that with some of the public comments from Big Newey and the likes. Like they often kind of finish whatever it is they say by kind of saying, "There's so much more that I'd like to say, but I can't." So that's understandable.
They tend to ED. Sorry, I keep jumping in as you're
Oh, go for
responding
it.
things, but I'll just say this: ED are playing a much more of a nuanced game with this litigation stuff. They aren't really saying anything other than kind of just watch this space. Whereas it seems like the Rasbam side of things, they're a bit more. It depends on what side of the coin you see it. Some people would say that they're sort of leveraging and trying to get what they can and doing what they can to kind of maneuver. If you were probably a bit more cynical, you might say that they're using the fan base or using the community kind of to try and leverage that as well. So I mean, this is the truth of things like this sort of lawfare, as they call it. It's a little bit of lawfare going on, and a little bit dirty tricks, a little bit PR, because that all kind of feeds into each other. But yeah, I think the roller coaster. It seems to be very much like I've noticed. It's always comments from the Rasbam sides, which is feeding this kind of roller coaster ride that we're going on. So, yeah,
I think it's safe to say, and this goes for almost all conflict situations. It's almost certain that both parties have made mistakes.
Oh yeah.
I think we can all agree with that. And in fact, I think Big Newey even said something kind of like that in the forums recently. He's like both parties have probably done things that they shouldn't have. But this is we are where we are. It is a conflict. It's almost certainly the case that both parties have some degree of fault. But I think it's also quite clear that Razbam are trying to leverage the community, and they are trying to use their public statements as a way to influence the outcome. And you could view
Yeah.
that as smart, or you could view that as silly. But
Yeah.
it's clear what they're doing in any case.
Mm.
And are they in the right or are they in the wrong? There's no way for us to know. We do not have that information. Maybe everything the ED has said is correct, and maybe everything that Rasbam have said is correct. But there's no way for any of us to know that. to know
We
that.
may never
So,
know. We
and
may
we may
never
never
know.
know.
It's the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. It's the crazy thing. So yeah.
Like
Anyway,
if there is some kind of a settlement, it generally is the case that settlements include a clause saying you don't discuss the settlement. So we'll probably never find out.
yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine as long as I get to fly the F-15. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mr. Yeti, I think John was right last week. Rasbam post to encourage ED to remove their modules as they're not getting the monies. We'll dive into this in a moment, but it's not the case that Rasbam were encouraging ED or trying to coax ED into removing the modules. They instructed ED to remove the modules. That was done directly at Rasbam's request. Seanam81, I'm guessing ED's lawyer and RB's lawyer have had a talk, and RB's stuff was removed from the store and Steam. That may well be the case, yes. I'm sure they had some kind of a discussion and said, okay, take it out. Stuart McLean checking in from work today. Welcome. Asaid, finally catching the show live and on time. Waiting for the epoxy on my X52 throttle collective mod to dry. We'll do my taxis, then fly some DCS copters tonight. That's interesting. Modding up your throttle. Very cool. So, we will talk more about the Rasbam situation a little bit later. In the first instance, let's jump on into the newsletter and see what we have. So I was, as John said, I was like super psyched when I read this. I'm also super psyched that this is something, so many of the things that ED tell us about have long tails. It's like, hey, this thing is coming, and it's like months and months and months.
Mm.
This is coming in the next update.
Yeah.
Our next DCS update will introduce the initial version of the data transfer cartridge. This powerful tool, initially releases for the F-16C and F-18C, enables players to set up radio communications and countermeasures, replicating the functionality in real-world squadrons. Future enhancements to this long-awaited core improvement to DCS will include additional setup functionality and aircraft. So actually, one of the big things that the data cartridge in the F-16 at least allows you to do is to preset your master modes and associated MFD pages. And of course, that's really, really nice, because right now, what you get is, I think it's like 1 page per MFD per mode. And it's a set that ED basically programmed for you. And the other 2 pages for each MFD are blank, and you have to set them up yourself, which is not ideal. And it's sometimes the case that it's when you first put the aircraft into air-to-air mode, you notice this. And have to scramble to set things up the way you want them.
It's a real issue. Obviously, this is all up in the air now, but with the Mudhen, because you've obviously got all the air-to-ground mode, air-to-air mode, all that kind of stuff, and then you got with each button press, isn't it? Sensor select left, right, and down.
Yes.
It will change whatever that screen and cycle through. And that kind of stuff as well. I remember just going, I got to put this in every time I spawn.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, especially for multiplayer. Like, oh no. So just to have this, as like you said, it's a great realism thing. But also just for just being able to jump in, and kind of enjoy an online session as well. It's a huge boon.
And I also hope that they make this available to the third parties through the SDK at the earliest opportunity, because, of course, the JF-17, which already has like part of a DTC implementation, even though there's no support for it in the sim, to see that fully fleshed out, because the JF-17 has even more displays and pages and settings that you can kind of pre-program. To have that in the DTC would be fantastic. Of course, I'd love to see it in the Harrier, but I think we all know that's not going to happen. What other aircraft in the sim have a DTC? The Apache has a DTC.
I guess the Kiowa. The Kiowa's got like a rudimentary DTC, I think, for loading in like nav stuff.
It does. Yeah, that's right.
PCMIA card, whatever you call it, we'll call it. So that would have rudimentary stuff. Whatever jets
A10.
really. A10 again, that's an ED one though, isn't it?
Yeah.
What would a third party be? Trying to think of what some of the third parties.
There's not much
Oh,
else
yeah,
because
that's it. Yeah.
famously the F14 doesn't, at least in the A
Mm,
and B versions, doesn't have a DTC. You do have
yeah.
to manually program everything every time, but you've got a
Mm,
dedicated chappie in the back for that.
mm.
Um, F4 never had DTC, at least the
No.
versions that we're simulating, as far as I'm
Vigan?
aware.
The Vigan does, isn't it?
The Vigan does
Vig-
have a DTC.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
actually, it's kind of simulated. Well, like the physical model is there, and you insert it and load it. So yeah, the
Yeah.
Vigan has a DTC, although its capabilities are so basic that I don't think
Yeah.
there's really anything outside of the current mission editor that its DTC actually does.
Yeah.
So that might not be necessary. I don't know.
Mm. Yeah.
Chinook,
What?
but that's again
Chinook,
ED.
maybe? Yeah. Yeah. ED as well. I guess maybe the Vigan. Maybe they could bring some of the functionality to this software to the Vigan. Maybe they'll kind of what do you call it? Jury rig it. And then the only other jet I can think of, again, it's not out, but when it does eventually get released, I guess the Typhoon. Well, that was cool. Surely
Oh,
that's got a DTC.
Typhoon has a
Um,
DTC, yes.
yeah. Yeah.
So that will benefit from it. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, like the major one really is the JF-17. There's not many other aircraft, non-ED aircraft, that would make big use of a DTC. Oh,
Yeah.
F-15, but
Ooh.
we're also not getting that.
Yeah, and that's also an ED one. So it's basically mostly ED. But yeah, the hope would be that they'd at least have some sort of APK or something for put something to put in the SDK for the third parties, because I think going forward that would be, especially if it has to plug into the system in the game. You'd think that was probably a prerequisite. So
Yeah.
it's cool. I think this is really awesome.
Mhm.
And like I said, I think with any of these things, I always say to people, for the initial release, always like temper your expectations and expect it to take however long you think it would take to improve. Maybe like double that, and then you probably get what you're imagining.
Well, that said, let me
Yeah.
just show this image. I'm already hugely impressed
Mm,
just with the countermeasures page. Because take a look at this. We have a breakdown of threat types, and they're in categories: air, ground, naval, and other. And you
mm,
can see that you have individual threat radars, what you want to set the threshold at. So you can even have it trigger at track or at search or whatever,
mm,
and then which associated program that should set off if you're in automatic mode. Like,
mm,
this is amazing. This is
mm,
absolutely amazing. And you can set your bingo levels for your different countermeasures. It's really cool. And if we look at the tabs here, you helped me with this one by getting me a
mm,
higher resolution image. We've got nav points, we've got geo lines, we've got threat points, we've got destination points, we've got ROE, we've got the countermeasure system, and we've got other.
mm.
So even just in the initial implementation, what they're going to do with countermeasures, I think, is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Paul Dillon correctly saying M2000 has DTC as well. It's
Yeah.
actually already modeled, and Rasbam cleverly modeled it as a text file. So they kind of don't need any of this, honestly, to make use of the DTC. The other thing I would say, the DTC in the M2000 is kind of funny in that it doesn't integrate with the aircraft systems at all. It's literally a cartridge that goes into the INS unit. So it can
Yeah.
only contain geographic stuff, like it only contains points. So
Yeah.
it can't interface with the countermeasures or anything else. But of course, we're not getting any of the Rasbam stuff, or at least not right now.
Yeah.
Pink Floyd disagrees with me. He says it's hard to believe RB is playing a PR game after years of having absolutely no PR at all.
Mm,
You could be right. I'm of course expressing my opinion here.
mm,
I feel like they're playing a game here, but I could be wrong. Ron could be just being totally honest. He comes across as a fairly honest guy, so
mm,
he might just be talking from the heart. That's possible.
mhm,
But I always suspect that people are trying to influence me in some way.
mm.
Uh,
Sometimes as well as you can have inferred things so that like your behavior will be based upon your motivations, and so you would disclose or not disclose something based upon what you want to achieve, but you're
mm,
not consciously trying to do that. Does that make sense? So you
yes.
might, it's like if someone's peed you off and you can't help but say, "Oh God, I'm really stressed out." You're not sat there necessarily consciously saying, "I'm going to tell this person that someone else has peed me off," but you can't help but what's the word? Embody that behavior based upon what's happened and stuff like that. So based on what people desire and what's happened to them and not happened to them, they're gonna just naturally, like, you could just call that impulsivity. They're gonna just share or not share certain things as well. And I think that some of it is a bit of that.
Pink Floyd now saying that he was having fun.
Oh, he's just having fun. Okay,
He's just trying to wind me up.
exactly.
And I'm just being far too reasonable. I should have gotten angry instead.
Speaking of winding up,
Uh-huh.
I had a quick look for last week's thing. Everyone was taking the piss out of how I was saying, how I was saying. Funny enough, I can't speak.
Mhm.
Livery. Apparently it's livery or livery. Apparently I was saying it wrong, and then you said it wrong once, and then everyone was piling on.
No, 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 no,
I
no.
was
No, no, no. I said it correctly, or at least the way I pronounce it. I said
yeah.
it that way every single time, and then people were pointing out the fact that I was being cruel by not even like bending to do it the same way as you. So
So
people were
yeah.
calling me out for being a dick for not supporting you.
For not supporting the way I was saying it. You were not showing solidarity with livery. I don't know. I live in Devon, mate. They've got webbed feet here. I'm lucky that I speak normal and we got running water. So
I speak normal, eh?
speak normal, we.
Yes. I
Exactly.
I don't know what the correct pronunciation is. I only know that I say it the way I say it. So like
Yeah.
I'm not claiming any superiority or, additional information here.
It's probably livery. That's probably the correct way. Although I don't know now because it's a binary choice. If there was three choices, I probably know which one was right. Now it's binary. I don't know.
Has anyone ever seen what's that Cumberbatch fellow called again?
Um,
The
Bloody Bean
actor.
Cabbage Patch, whatever his name is.
Yes.
Yeah, what his name is. Benedict Cabbage
Benedict,
Patch.
that's it.
Yeah,
Benedict Cumberbatch.
yeah,
He did
yeah.
a documentary one time about penguins, and the whole way through the documentary, he pronounces it penguins.
Penguins. Oh
No,
no.
no,
Oh no.
penguins.
Penguins.
Yeah,
Why
penguins.
ping?
And he ended up on. Oh, who's the Irish guy who does the talk show?
Oh,
Can't
oh
remember
God.
anyone's name anymore.
Oh, I know the one. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and they pulled him up
yeah.
about it. They're like, Benedict, how do you pronounce penguin? And you
I am
immediately
annoyed.
see him like putting his head in his hands, like, oh my god, no, not this.
It's too late at that point as well. It's gone out. It's already recorded.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
down on the tapes. Yeah, you can't get away from it.
He was
Yeah.
saying that like the more he said it, the more it lost all meaning, and he had no idea anymore. So maybe you found
uh,
yourself in a similar situation.
I find I have exactly. It's going to be Penguin Gate and Livery Gate, whether it's Livery Gate. Ah, fun.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So Morzo, next we should be able to do an aircraft walk around for pre-checks with the jet and wash the plane after a flight with a big smiley face. I know you're taking the piss, Morzo, but you're digging deep into my psyche here. This is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
Like, I want to walk around the aircraft. I want to do the checklist. And the thing is, the checklist includes exterior checks. I want to walk around. I want to kick the tires. I want to make sure the brake lines are all connected. I want to pull the pitot covers off. I want to run my hand along the leading edge of the wing and make sure there are no dings and dents. I want to do all the things I do in real life when I'm flying my silly little propeller plane. And I want to do it with the sexy military jet. I want to do
we,
all
we,
of it.
we've still got RPG guys that are like PlayStation 2 Cantona, Eric Cantona. I think we need to get our we need to get our horses before the cart.
True.
Let's get rid of PS2 Eric Cantona, and then we can touch the side of the jet.
It's like, smooth.
But I do like the idea at least of just being able to walk around and like maybe just take the protector covers off and stuff.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
And then climb the ladder.
Yeah, pop up the ladder, that sort of
Crew
stuff. I
chief
think
gives you
that's
a wee
doable.
slap on the arse as you go up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
All the
yeah,
real
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah, like in MS 2024. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Anyway, we're getting totally off topic now. It's something else I noticed just now we have these tabs here for the DTC, but note that there actually are multiple partitions. It says DTC partition. This is just the data for the mission planning data. So there are other partitions in the DTC. And if we jump to this image, no, not this image, not this image. Where the hell was it again? There was an image where we saw another one. Oh, here we go. Note that in this one, we see the comms partition. So there, we know that we at least have a mission planning partition and a comm partition. There are almost certainly others. Like in the case of the F-16, I can imagine that there's one for displays as well.
There's going to be one for data link as well.
There must be.
Data link.
There must be. I'm kind of surprised that the data link one isn't under comms, but yeah, maybe there's a dedicated one for data link. So depending on the aircraft type, there are probably different partitions for different aircraft types. But yeah, I'm like, I can't overstate how excited I am for this.
Yeah. Because isn't there? You tell me if I'm wrong, but in the A10, for example, you
do load it.
You can load all that in. You can get a data link, and you can get like enemy air threats on your SA page real time, even though
not
you don't
in
have
real
radar.
time.
Is it not in real time?
No. So it's same with the F-16. In fact, the F-16 has situational awareness kind of circles for threats, but they're generated at mission creation time. So they're correct as of the start of the mission. Obviously, emitters could turn on, turn off, reposition, all kinds of things that will not be reflected in your aircraft.
But do you know how F-16s can share through data link, tactical data link?
Oh, that information. So that's
kind of
if you have multiple aircraft with the HAD, HTS. Sorry, the harm targeting system pod. If you have HTS, it's on, and you're connected to the data link. Then yes, you can triangulate threats, and those are real time.
And also, you can share through data link, like if there's enemy aircraft. That's what I'm saying. So if there's enemy aircraft around, you can share that data without your radar on.
Correct.
I'm sure there was a way that the A10 can receive that same data from the. I could be wrong here, but from an F-16, even though it doesn't have its own radar. Is that not the case?
No. For one thing, they're different data links as well. So F-16 is link 16. A10 is the A10 using ATHS or something similar? I can't remember. The A10 has a completely different data link, and they're not compatible. So yeah, short answer is no. That's not a supported feature.
Yeah.
Robbie Hobby bringing the pilots to the plane in a VW bus. Now an external check and up the ladder, and the ground crew is super detailed and animated. I've wanted this for a long time. Yeah, that would be nice. That would be very, very nice.
We should get with British Jets. You get a tea lady come along with sandwiches and biscuits. It just pulls up next to it. Just you got the start cart, and then you got tea lady.
You'll have a cup of tea, Father.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Anyway, let's go back to the newsletter. I feel like I'm kind of jumping forwards and jumping backwards and going all over the place. Let's work our way through this. We're delighted to share more insights into the progress on the truly outstanding Cold War Germany map as the launch date approaches. And actually, somebody was just saying in chat there that they believe it's supposed to come out this month. So this could be like in the next week or two, which is exciting. Ugra Media team is working hard to polish historically accurate airfields and the bustling cityscapes of this tension-laden region in the 1980s. Stay tuned for more in the upcoming release, and thanks for joining us on this journey back to a defining moment in world history. And yeah, Ugra Media have got so many videos on their YouTube channel, so you can go and have a look at that if you want to.
Spoiled.
Yeah. So the other things they're saying about the DTC, in the next update, we're getting it for the F-16 and the F-18. You'll be able to create and load DTC settings for radio communications and countermeasures from within the mission editor. What else are we going to get? Navigation routes and points, targets, pre-briefed points, data links, weapons, stores management, radar settings, NCTR libraries, and more. We'll also expand the tool to other aircraft such as the A-10 and the Apache. So they're coming a little bit later. Yeah. Very, very nice.
NCTR is really interesting, isn't it? Because it uses the returns from the radar, and specifically to do with the turbines, isn't it? Whether it knows what the aircraft is, and
that's one of the main things. It does a lot of different things in order to recognize an aircraft, but apparently, yes, as you say, the most data actually comes from the shape of the inlets on the front, and then it can even actually like, count the fan blades basically and tell you, okay, based on what we see inside the inlets, we think it's a MiG-29 or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
that's really cool.
M2000C also has this facility. I actually demonstrate it in my tutorial in the M2000C. It does NCTR.
Yeah.
The DTC will use a common interface between aircraft types, but offer unique options based on their real world counterparts. It will be an exceptionally powerful system that allows both detailed programming options, but also the ability to create multiple DTCs per aircraft and export them, load them, and share them with friends. Just
Love it.
just imagine, you're all out camping, sitting around the fire, sharing your DTC files on floppy disks. Oh, it's going to be
Hey,
great.
bro, take a toke on this DTC, man.
Amazing.
Yeah. You got
Uh,
DMT with Joe Rogan, and then you got DTCs and DCS.
yeah,
Take
yeah.
this DTC, bro. You'll see things. What will you see? You'll see my NCTRs.
Library. Yeah, you'll see my
Uh,
countermeasures profiles.
Yeah. Love
uh,
it. I think it's also worth mentioning just to really emphasize this because I think some people might not notice this and get a bit disappointed. So the initial version will just really see it sounds like it will just have nav points,
yeah,
countermeasures and radio stuff.
actually,
Or
not
sorry, just
even
radio,
not
not
even
even
nav
nav points,
points.
no.
So
Just
yeah,
radio
initial
and countermeasures.
version, it's radio and countermeasures is what they're
Mm,
stating. So those extra tabs that we were seeing, you notice that they're grayed out.
yeah.
I initially thought that was just because the CMDS was the one that's selected. I think it might actually be the case that it's the only one that's implemented.
Yeah.
Because they do say we will add additional items, and then they say navigational routes and points, targets, pre-briefed points, data link, weapons, stores management, blah blah blah. So yeah, this
Yeah.
initial implementation is going to be very very bare bones,
Mm,
but I still am really really psyched for it. Like even just this small amount of functionality will be a big step up.
mm. I'd be curious to see if I've heard through the grapevine. This might be completely wrong. Someone's going to tell me I'm completely wrong here. I've
John,
heard
you're
through the
completely
grapevine.
wrong.
I know you're completely wrong. I've heard through the grapevine that the harms can be somewhat programmed so that they can be best used against targets. I'm not just saying just to necessarily um, what's the word? What target they hit? Because obviously you got your codes on your harm page, haven't you, through like pre-briefed and
I was
things like
about to
that.
mention that. Yes, yes.
Yeah, but you can kind of set that up with basically not only before you do all stuff, so that you don't have to sit there faffing around in the pages. But I've heard that apparently I've heard it's in the wizards that there are certain things with setting up these sorts of smart weapons so that they best perform. If you already kind of know what you're up against, they kind of perform a bit better. I don't know all the details of that, but it could just be something as simple as it just knows to scan certain, there's obviously bandwidths that various radars operate on and stuff like that. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how not just the harms, but just different weapons. What new functionality what might we get with certain weapons? Maybe there'll be some sort of counter measures, whatever they call it, hardening and things like that could be really interesting.
Well,
So
you actually you raise an interesting point that I hadn't considered until now. This would give us the ability to simulate particular eras.
yeah,
Because if you have the ability to change the NCTR library, change the RWR library, and even change the available programming settings for your harm missiles and similar, you could simulate situations where you're going up against a surface to air system for the first time. And,
mm,
the spooky boys back at military intelligence haven't even seen one of these before, and so haven't
yeah,
had the opportunity to pre program your aircraft. So then you
yeah.
start getting unknown symbols on your RWR for
Mm.
aircraft that are actually part of the library today.
Now imagine now we're going down the rabbit hole.
Mm,
Imagine that you have a campaign. And so at early stages of that campaign, you're almost doing signals intelligence
yes.
and you're deliberately getting them to paint you so that you can get more of their library, their PRF tone library, so
Yeah.
that you can figure out what the hell they are and how to use it. So that opens up like new types of missions where like you don't have that data so that you need to find that data out, and so you're basically doing a form of like electronic reconnaissance.
Yeah,
So
we already
yeah,
have that in the
it
Vigan.
checks out.
Like
Yeah.
the ELINT pod in the Vigan very nicely simulates this.
Mm,
But yeah, this is this could open up a lot of possibilities, and
yeah.
actually it may even give us the possibility to simulate like export models of aircraft and things like that. Because
Yeah.
while the U.S. Air Force's F-16s might have the latest and greatest RWR libraries, the versions they sell to certain other countries, especially non-NATO members, say the F-16s they sell to Pakistan, do they
Yeah.
necessarily have the most up-to-date threat libraries? I don't know.
Mhm,
Probably they do, but maybe they don't.
mm,
So it could be kind of fun to simulate a Pakistani F-16, which maybe doesn't have the same software and doesn't have the same libraries.
yeah.
Um, anyway, yeah,
Mm,
we're living in our heads here. We're having a bit of fun,
yeah.
but yeah, there's lots of cool stuff that you could do with this.
Mm,
So, Cold War Germany development progress. So yeah, Ugra they've been working hard. Based on community feedback, the map border has been slightly tweaked and new locations added. This includes new cities and border checkpoints, key Cold War locations, detailed road and rail networks, historically accurate airfields, and improved environments. During internal playtesting, the Ugra team checked the navaids and airfields, ensuring that each airbase was ready to receive historically accurate aircraft. Extensive rendering optimizations have been made to ensure consistent performance in large missions. So, Ugra is now focused on testing and preparing the map for release. This includes checking airfields, roads, and terrain, translating names into different languages. In the meantime, the color palettes are being fine tuned for time of day and all weather conditions. Additionally, following initial community feedback, Ugra has significantly improved the map, adding more air defense sites, new locations, original objects, and points of interest, such as the quarries in Leipzig. And looking beyond this early access release, further testing and performance optimization for high object density areas will be the focus to ensure stable frame rates in both single player and multiplayer scenarios. So yeah. One of the
mm,
milestones worth highlighting is to recreate the diversity of Cold War era missions. Is the near completion of historical airfields with accurate taxiways and ground structures. Ugra Media has used historical sources, and where information has been lacking, they've also relied on the memories of people who served at those air bases to add authenticity and detail. Due to exceptionally high degree of object detail, quantity, and diversity, Ugra has been very careful about memory limitations, requiring constant vigilance to stay within the limits of DCS. Overall, these developments bring them closer to presenting an exceptional map that depicts Germany in the 1980s. So there you go. There's your
yeah.
marketing blurb.
So
I'll
that tells us that's like, do you know when you have an interview and they're like, tell us about a difficult or challenging situation that you've had to deal with, or tell us about it. It's like, I bet you the whole Ugo has been very careful about memory limitations. I bet you when they were developing this, they hit that wall and they were like, shit. we, we gotta adjust this. So
yeah.
remember when Syria first came out, or at least when they were first starting to at least the early stages when they were updating it and adding bits more pieces, bits of extra detail in. And there was a period for a while where Syria chugged.
Oh yes.
It
Yeah.
really chugged, and then they did. I remember there was a God. I actually remember
There was
reading the news
multiple
there.
optimization passes they did with that, and they did
Mm.
a really good job. Like it got better and better.
It's one of the smooth. Now I occasionally I'll find some if there's a lot going on a multiplayer server and you're flying over say like Beirut or something, it may get a little bit chuggy. Your frame rate. When I say chuggy, your frame rate goes down into like your 40s to 30s. But generally speaking, it's probably one of the best performing maps, at least from my
Syria is
experience.
amazing. Like it's
Yeah.
one of the best maps in the game. I recently went back and played the Persian Gulf map, which is also a map that I really like, and that's one that was developed by Eagle Dynamics. And
Mm.
while the Persian Gulf map is good, actually very good, um, it doesn't match up to Syria. It's
No.
not quite as good as Syria. um,
No.
Although I have to say, the Persian Gulf map has quite large areas of desert, and I think that the representation of the desert is actually very good. I think they've made it very very convincing.
Mm.
But no, nothing really hits the same level as Syria, in my opinion, currently.
No, and the only thing I would say is as you get further up north in Persian Gulf, it does it whilst the desert sort of from 20,000 feet looks all right. I think when you're flying down low in the weeds, I'm talking about the more northern side of the map where probably
Like
people
Iran.
go less. Yeah, like really far into Iran. It's not bad. It's fine, but if you compare it to say like what we're seeing on like the Iraq maps and the Afghanistan maps, it's very night and day.
Yeah.
Like you can see how much now is this a case of not it's not to when I say this by the way, I'm not shitting on the Persian Gulf map because that's like one of the first few paid ones, wasn't it, really? If not, was it the first paid one? Persian Gulf map after Caucasus? Was it the first map after Caucasus, Persian Gulf?
I can't remember. It might have
No, I
been.
think it was. I think it was either Nevada. I think Nevada
No, it
was
was
first,
Nevada.
and then
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and both. Funny enough, both Nevada and Persian Gulf are just looking a little bit longer in the tooth. And it's funny actually because I think in the Q&A, I think Wag said something, didn't he, about we'd love to go back at some point or something like that along those lines. Like
Yeah.
we would like to, but it's just time dependent. But yeah, I would say there's bits of the Persian Gulf now, and it's again, it's not that it's bad, but now you can see how far they've become and how much better they've gotten, and then you're seeing stuff. I know Ugra did Syria, but you're
Well,
seeing how far it's gone. You're like, oh right, yeah, we probably need to kind of
also keep
give
in
it some
mind
love.
that not all of these maps are based on the same terrain engine technology. So some
Yeah,
of them are literally running on completely different tech,
yeah,
and that
absolutely,
explains the disparity.
absolutely, yeah.
Nice. Alrighty. And then last item in the newsletter, we have the F4E 81-2 red flag. Get ready for the great new F4E red flag 82-1 campaign by Reflected Simulations. Taking place across 13 meticulously crafted missions, you'll experience historically accurate procedures, custom voiceovers, and missions randomized for replayability, complete with detailed briefings, authentic kneeboard images, and dozens of faithful skins. This campaign will showcase the best of DCS, from advanced dogfights to carefully choreographed ground attacks. Stay tuned for this exciting new campaign coming very soon in the next update. So there
Cool.
you
It's
are.
good to see. Yeah, it's good seeing the single player guys getting a lot of love, aren't they?
Yeah, so it feels like the next update. Let's bring out our crystal ball here. We're getting this new campaign, this F4 campaign from Reflected. We're getting the Germany map, and we're getting DTC. This is going to be quite an update. This is going to be
Yeah,
nice.
it's Chunky Boy. I mean, what's also been in some of the previous newsletters they've been talking about? Have they put in? Did they say that they were doing something to the AMRAMs? Have they already put that in yet? They were saying they were
That's not
remodeling
in
the.
yet.
They did.
But yeah, they're doing some remodeling of the AMRAMs. Yes, I
Yeah,
think we already got the remodeling of a bunch of other missiles.
yeah,
They had a remodeling of fusees and warheads for air-to-air missiles. I
yeah,
think that's in, but I could be wrong.
yeah,
Yeah, got a bunch of interesting stuff. Paul
yeah,
Dillon. Now we just need some 70s and 80s RAF jets. Did you say Jaguar?
yeah. Did you say Jag? Did you say Buccaneer? Yeah, yeah, all of those would be a Buck would be fantastic. S2 Buccaneer S2 would be baller, and obviously a Jag. Basically, if we had the what I call the big four, the Desert Storm big four,
Oh,
of GR1, F3, Buck S2, and the Jaguar GR1 or GR3 Jag, that would be yeah, that would be
hmm,
pretty awesome. That would be because I think it's fair to say, obviously, like we're not talking about technology, as in like the Typhoon is incredible, and obviously the later GR4 was awesome as well. But if you think of that era around about 91, 92, that was at least when the RAF was at its like say strongest. But we had a lot going on at that point, didn't we? We had a lot
yeah.
of like really potent airframes. I think by then, did we have the GR5 or early? Yeah, it wouldn't have been GR7 yet, so it's probably GR5 Harriers as well. So we had the first Harrier twos turning up. Yeah, we obviously had the Sea Harriers. Yeah, I think Royal Navy and RAF air power around that time, Desert Storm was pretty strong. So getting some of that in, and then obviously that would translate well into like late 80s as well, and even 70s.
Hmm.
Yeah, dude. It'd be great to
Tasty
see
stuff.
some. I want to see some. I want to see some British jets.
Well, we might be getting a tornado eventually.
Yeah,
Although we haven't
yeah,
really seen very much of it, but yeah, we might get that one day.
that's true. And if we do get a J model Phantom, that would translate well. At least is it the FGR2 or one of them? Like it's basically a J model, isn't it,
Yeah,
with a British skin on it? So yeah, we'd get a bit of it.
yes, indeed. I'm going to take this opportunity to suggest that everyone subscribe, like, and comment.
Yeah.
Please consider doing that. It really helps me and the channel. Also, just letting you all know again, I mentioned at the beginning, I'll be jumping onto the Deep Hacks Ground Crew Discord server for a little voice session after the end of the stream. So those of you who are members can join me there. And if you're not currently a member and you're considering it, you can click the join button below this very video. Don't you know? Channel right, they need to fix the JF-17 targeting pod. I haven't flown it in a little while. Is there, what is it that's wrong with it? I wasn't aware.
Look it up. Yeah, it's just something up with it at the moment. Or
No idea.
yeah.
Anyway, next story. We have this one, which we kind of alluded to a little bit earlier. This post. So last stream we talked about the previous post from Ron, where he was talking about the situation between Razbam and ED. This one came just 3 days later, and at the time I remember reading it and being very confused. It was like, why is he saying all of this? What's going on? And then, like moments after finishing reading this, I then realized that all the Rasbam modules were gone from the store.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they've subsequently been removed from Steam as well.
Mm.
So,
The question I've got is why is it taken this long? To be honest with you,
yeah,
it's taken a long time.
I don't know. Like, of course, it was never in ED's interests to remove any of the modules from the stock because they were receiving the money. So, of course, they wouldn't want to remove them. But more than that, they also wouldn't want to remove them because it would prejudice what was happening in the court case. So ED's hands are kind of tied in that situation. They're like, well, we have to keep selling them because otherwise Rasbam could claim that we're trying to deprive them of future income. Or prejudice the outcome of the court case. So literally, ED could not touch this. So it was down to Rasbam whether or not they wanted them to stay in the store or not. Apparently, Rasbam were okay with it for a period of time. Perhaps they were expecting a quicker resolution than this. And it's obviously reached a point, and Rasbam have decided, okay, that's it. Take it all down. So yeah, this was at Razbam's request that this happened. Anyway, let me quickly go over the post that Ron put out. As our products are no longer available for purchase on current platforms, we believe it's important to be clear. Only Razbam Simulations is able to properly support, update, and develop our products. Our development pipeline, including all source code, has never been and will never be released to any distributor or third party. This is by design and ensures we can protect the integrity of what we build and deliver the best experience possible. So we want to reaffirm a core truth. Our developers are first-rate professionals. We operate with the highest standards of conduct and have always respected the intellectual property of every partner. This is obviously alluding to the claims that they were leaking or planning to leak ED IP. Every partner, peer, and platform we've worked with, we do not and will not infringe on the IP of others, ever. Our reputation is built on trust, and we protect that reputation with the same care we apply to every line of code we write. This feels way more like something that a lawyer drafted with Ron than something Ron would have written, anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
Razbam's mission has always been simple: build with precision, serve with pride, deliver with integrity. I think their stuff, honestly, is really, really, really good. So, yeah, they make good stuff. We're still here, we're still building, and we're still fighting for our team, for our rights, and for you. Thank you for your continued support and patience. So yeah, like I said, I was kind of utterly confused when I saw this at first, and then of course after that we got this. This is coming via stormbirds.blog, a really good source for flight simulation news. Most Razbam modules removed from sale. And when we say most, we mean everything except the map. Because the map, as we know now, was not in fact developed by Razbam at all. It was developed by a contractor, which I believe was Ugra?
I don't know.
No, Orbex. Sorry, it was Orbex.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm just looking here at chat. Oz Dead Meat. The only thing I can think of is that the behind the scenes conversations have escalated for Razbam to have taken this approach. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I think Oz is right there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, obviously that's the case. The discussion has reached a point, and Razbam have said, okay, fine. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, not currently for sale. You've got the MiG. Nobody cares about the MiG. Harrier, the M2000, and the Eagle. We care about the Eagle
Oh,
very much.
yeah. It's weird actually, because I've spoken to people who do a lot of Cold War stuff, and they jump in the MiG-19 and they're like, "It's a great jet. It's really well made." And it never really had any stuff. And when they were updating stuff, you'd never really see it in the patch notes. But that was because no one was really complaining. I could be wrong here. Someone could tell me, "Oh, it's completely broken." But from what I knew, it was just made and fine. It was just
I
doing its thing. So
I've seen
yeah.
videos of it and it looks really nice.
Hmm.
I don't own it and I've never flown it, so I
Yeah.
don't know anything about the MiG 19, and I
Yeah.
kinda don't care.
Yeah.
It's a little bit too early for me. For me,
Mm,
MiG 21 forwards is what I care about.
yeah.
But yeah, these other three modules like Harrier, M2000C, and the Eagle are spectacular. They're all
Yeah.
really good modules. So it's very
Sure.
sad that they're no longer with us.
Absolutely.
Word 789, bruh, Harrier no longer be on sale. F-15E also, yes, yeah, all of these modules are now no longer available. If you don't already own them, you now cannot get them. They're
Yeah.
gone. They're
Yeah,
gone.
it's yeah, well potentially maybe gone permanently. That might I mean it's not that mad to say that they're that if you didn't get them, they're now gone. We'd hope
Yes.
that's not the case. What would be nice, I always said that probably the best case scenario would be that the F-15 gets finished and the others just get maintained at whatever stage they're at now. If you have any of these modules, by the way, and before they were taken off sale, if you did buy them, they seem to all be working fine for now. And considering this has been going on for a year and a bit, and I think the only two things which were both fixed was the M2000, wasn't it? There was an issue. God, what was the issue with the Mirage again? The
It,
M2000. There
it,
was a
it was
weird
something about the
issue.
fly-by-wire, as I
Yeah, it wouldn't
recall.
engage or something, would it? Or something like that. And then the other thing was obviously the Strike Eagle's radar, and then that was fixed.
And then that was fixed.
And then they've both been all generally all right. And I think the only thing I know of the Harrier that's a bit weird is something to do with the cluster bomb fusing or something. It's a bit
Well,
wonky.
to,
I
to,
think
to
that's
be
all
to
it
be
is.
fair though, that's correct. The cluster bomb fusing is funny, and CCRP mode drops short.
Yeah,
But that's been the case with the Harrier for about 4 years.
yeah, yeah.
So this is not things that have broken. Like ED have stated that they're kind of sandboxing these modules and ensuring that updates to the core sim don't break them.
Mm,
And I would say that largely they've been very successful in doing that because, yeah, the Harrier, my beloved Harrier, has not had a code change in at least 3 or 4 years.
yeah.
And it's no more broken than it was the last time that
Mm,
Rasbam updated it. Like
yeah.
the Harrier has always been a little bit weird and it's always had some strange niggly bugs,
Mm,
but currently it's all the same ones that have always been there.
yeah.
So I think they're doing a good job. Word 789 is panicking. He's like, "Can I keep it if I already have it?" Yes, absolutely. If you've
Yeah.
already bought these modules, you still have them. So don't worry about that. They're not taking away modules from people who've bought them. They're simply removing the possibility to purchase them in the future.
Yeah.
Mr. Yeti, M2000 isn't picking up waypoints. You spawn in and no waypoints are there, and you can't program them in.
Oh.
Okay, I can
Is
only
that just
imagine.
the is that the root builder thing? Can you still type them in, or
Yeah, I don't
what's
know.
that?
I would assume that the ED will fix that because that must be something that they've changed in the core sim. I'll take a look at that. I'll see if I can reproduce that. Also, keep in mind the M2000C, you have the option of loading your waypoints via its DTC, which is very, very nicely modeled. So I'd
Yeah.
maybe give that a go and see if that works.
Mm.
Yeah, Big Newy posted in the forums after all of this dropped, just to clarify. And he states, after receiving an official request by Rasbam to remove products from sale, we have done so. All products will be fully supported by DCS and will continue to operate. Somebody pointed out that they were still on Steam. Big Newy again replied, Steam takes a little longer to action requests like this. They are being removed from Steam also. And my understanding is that at this time they are gone from Steam also.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I took a screenshot of this store page as well and sent it to you, John, at the time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, it's
not for
not never
sale.
nice to see. Yeah, I mean, look, it could be the what's the old term? It could be this could be a darkest before the dawn kind of situation that as they're getting into the nitty gritties, they have to do this stuff as part of the process. Because I always say like you have to kind of filter any of these decisions through that. It could be that they have to. It's like the weird thing with Ron that status that you put out, whatever you call it, or statement. And I said this sounds like to me part of the process, where it might be some lawyers telling him, what you need to say this
Hmm.
at this time right now, because it allows us to then do this, and it allows us to then put this through the court in this way, and blah 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 blah. Because also when you get into international court cases, it gets really weird. Then it gets really really wonky, and then I would wonder this. We can see it from a business perspective, like we said, that maybe they've now taken them off because things have not gotten, things have got a little bit dry between ED and Rasbam. Also, it could just be that they're sitting there going, "Well, we're not getting his money anyway, so we don't want them to have it," kind of thing, which is
Uh-huh.
kind of more of a business thing. But it also could be, if you're looking at it through the lens of litigation, it could be that they're removing it from the store because it kind of, you know what I mean? It's set up for something legally. Again, we don't know any of the details of this stuff, so it's pure speculation at any stage by anyone.
Well,
But
if
it
we if we
makes me wonder.
take Ron at face value, if we
Mm,
simply look at the words that he has said in this
yeah,
statement, the previous statement, and in some statements in the past, his big thing that he keeps banging on about is support. He
yeah,
keeps saying we cannot support these modules because we're not being paid.
mm,
Um, and it feels like the thing that he's pushing is we don't want these modules to end up in the hands of customers and to affect the customer's view of Razbam as a module maker. I feel
mm,
like this is his big fear that, like, at some
yeah,
stage the modules degrade, they break, or even just the fact that maybe textures aren't being updated, they start to look
mm,
dated. He seems to be really worried about the effect it has on Razbam's um, prestige. I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
and that I think that's pretty fair. I can understand that point of view. So if we believe the words that he's saying, that's the reason he wants them taken down, because he's
mm.
like, they're not supported anymore. We can't support them, and we don't want our work to end up looking bad and to reflect badly on us.
You raise, like you said, you raise a really good point. He might be like, look, I these are going to probably start breaking.
Hmm.
It could even be, and again, pure speculation, it could even be there is positive progress being made, but they know it's going to take a long time before it's sorted out.
Yeah,
So in that meantime, they don't want these modules to potentially break and look bad. Does that make sense? And then everyone's starting to moan at Rasbam, or even people moaning at ED.
mhm,
This could even be I say joint decision. Could even be that both ED and Rasbam have gone, yeah, maybe we should take them off for now because they're not getting updated and blah blah blah. Blah. We don't ED don't want the heat because they're not going to want it if these modules start to break.
yeah,
And people, but and it's one thing if they start breaking and people are buying and it's still for sale. That's because that really changes the context of it, doesn't it? So if it's starting to break or it's starting to fall apart at the seams and it's for sale, it's kind of not really in Eagle Dynamics' best interests at that stage. It's certainly not in Razbam's best interests because they don't want to say like, look, here's our baby, here's our thing we've created, and look what they did to our boy. Look what it did to my boy, kind of thing. Meme. As they're carrying their F-15 slumped in their arms,
yeah,
uh, I
pretty
just
much.
picture Ron Zambrano carrying like a slumped over F-15. Like, look what they did to my boy. Um, which is just that's the best mental image. If anyone takes a mental image away from today, take that one away. But
That's the
um,
one.
but yeah, yeah, that's the one. But yeah, it's in neither of their interests for these modules to start falling apart because they can't be updated because of litigation. So again, it's so hard, isn't it? Because we just don't have a clear picture. It's all looking
Yeah.
at shapes through frosted glass, and that's what we're looking at. And we're trying to pick. You see a shape through the frosted glass, you think, is that a poodle? And it turns out it could be a lion or it could be a cocker spaniel. I don't know, but it's sort of brown in that shape. So I think it might be one of the two. and we could be completely wrong. It could just be a guy in a fursuit for all we know, So
Actually, for a while, Razbam's website had a statement on the front
Mm,
basically saying that they didn't currently support any DCS modules, or were unable to provide any support
mm,
for DCS
mm,
modules, and referring people to the distributor. If you look at Razbam's website now, that statement is gone. And in fact, almost all references to them ever having done work on DCS are also gone. I
mm.
found one link that says DCS manuals.
Yeah.
But if you look through it and actually look for like modules they've worked on, products they sell, and things like that, there are no mention of any of the DCS modules at all. It's been scrubbed from the site.
Wow.
It's gone.
I'm just having a quick look. It's not even in the legacy modules, is it?
Correct. Yeah, I checked through just there while you were talking. I checked through the website and it's all gone.
Oh my word. Yeah, that's certainly something.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Could be temporary.
Mm,
They could bring it back,
yeah.
but certainly, so it's interesting to me that even that statement, kind of, which obviously was designed to put pressure on ED, directing all of their customers to refer to ED, that statement's now gone, which
Yeah.
is a little interesting.
It's so weird though, because it wasn't all that long ago he was in the Discord saying that, oh, they've just given me dev access back.
Yeah,
It's so weird.
that
I
was what?
can't
That was
keep
like
up
two
with it.
weeks ago or something, 2 or 3
Yeah,
weeks
it's
ago.
even like it was 6 months ago. It's like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
It's so weird.
yeah,
It's
but
weird.
give it another couple of weeks, maybe something completely different will be happening. So I wouldn't read too much into any of this just yet. it's
It- it-
all moving.
oh, in 2 weeks, I feel like they're going to be like. In 2 weeks, they'll be like, yeah, we're gonna sue the crap out of him, and then 2 weeks later, they'll be like, Ron will be like, I'm getting ready for a dinner date with Wags or something. It's like I can't keep up with this up and down. Just
2 weeks after that, they're going to say, okay, we're back into DCS, and we're not going to give you an F-15E anymore. We're now giving you
yeah,
an F-15EX.
yeah.
Boom.
So yeah,
Who
it's
knows?
wacky, isn't it? Who knows exactly?
Yeah. Just
Ah,
catching up with chat here. Welcome to the stream, Hammy. Good to have you aboard. Anything else exciting? Word 789, dang, I was a fool to ever think we were getting a Sea Harrier. Yeah, we're not getting a Sea Harrier.
yeah, certainly not from Rasbam.
Yeah. Eagle Wings want to know if another developer can take the F-15E and do a new module for DCS. I don't think there's any real possibility that they could take the existing module / source code. But, of course, one option may be for ED or another module maker to completely redevelop it from the ground up.
Mm.
But that would take years. So yeah.
I have said this before when we were talking about the F-15C. I think one of the reasons why they're doing the Charlie model is because there will be a fair amount of stuff if they go
Commonality.
in, yeah, commonality. There's going to be a certain amount of if they go into the development with the mindset of let's develop this so that we set our files up and set up our code in a way that we can sequester that off into an E model if it goes wrong. Because I think that's what some of it is. It's an insurance thing. So it's like tooling up because it sounds weird to say tooling up, but that's effectively what you're doing. You're getting, you're getting your coders, you're getting your texture artists, all those people to develop things. And if they already know before they're going in, well, design this in a way that we could easily then turn this into, say, turn a Charlie into a Strike Eagle, or the code more,
Yeah.
to put it more clearly. Um, you know, then I think that's one of the reasons why they've done the Charlie model. And I think they would be idiots not to. So I do think they are doing this. I think maybe in a room at one point when DCS, I think they saw the BMS at F-15. They thought, okay, now is maybe a good time to do an F-15 Charlie anyway. And then they were like, well, a really good reason to do this is so we've got this insurance if all this goes to pot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the Strike Eagle's such an important aircraft. Like it's kind of like this fulcrum point, which a lot of the Air Force, U.S. Air Force, operates around. I really do think that they if it does go to pot with Rasbam and they got to remake the Strike Eagle, they're not going to give it to anyone else. It's too important an aircraft. It's a crown jewel. And so, like, they're going to be like, nope, we're doing it. There's not a chance in hell they're going to let another third party deal with an important as an aircraft as a Strike Eagle. So
Yeah.
if it does all fall through, it will be an ED model. I've zero doubt that it would be anyone else.
I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah.
I think that's almost certainly the case. We got Tricker in the chat.
Yay!
He says we just got like 69 subs when John started talking. 69.
When I start talking about fursuits.
Nice. Words789 asking, will the Tornado be the RAF version? The answer is no. It will be the Luftwaffe version.
I think they've said, if I remember rightly, the IDS is is very close to the GR1, very close.
Yes.
And so they've said there's a quote somewhere on the Aviastorm where they're like, you will look into it will come with RAF liveries at the very least. And I think they said they'll look into some maybe down the line some British ordnance and things like that to kind of make it.
Well, they have committed to that, so we're guessing we're getting a German plane, but we can cosplay as an RAF Tornado.
It's good enough for me. With GR1 it's pretty much the same, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's fine by me. Yeah. So on to the next thing. John, what do you make of this? Sadly, no audio because there's copyright music. But good old Heatblur, who do put out very, very nice videos. We have the Tomcat Phantom Vigan Heatblur Triumvirate Pack and Sale. I don't know what the hell that word is.
Triumvirate. It's like I guess it's the big trio kind of thing, isn't it? It's
okay.
I think it's whatever its term. It's a Latin term, I think, if I remember rightly. But yeah, it's when watching this video, there's some video editing in this, which genuinely, I was like, how did they do that in DCS? Yeah. I don't know how they did it. It's a bit we're going to see in a minute. Spoilers. There's a bit where you see one of the I think it's the Tomcat.
When the camera lifts up?
It's when the Tomcat launches. Yeah, it launches off the cat, and the camera's doing things. I'm like, how the fuck did they do that?
Yeah.
Like, is it a bit of video editing and a bit of post-processing and DCS? But it's.
Let me give you my theory. Let me give you my theory. Keep in mind that it was about a year ago that ED added new camera controls to make making these kinds of videos easier. I also suspect they're playing back a track file at less than 1 times, so that they can. Yeah.
Wait for it. Watch this. Ready? What? Like, how did they do that? How did they just do? And then it slows down again.
Yeah.
How did they just do that? That's
I think I know. I think they played it back at like 0.25 speed and did all the camera movements really slowly while recording it, and then sped it back up again.
Yeah, it's so well done. If that's really clever. If that's how they did it as well. But yeah, it's so. Yeah, I was really impressed by this. For it's just a sale. We have sales all the time. It's just this trailer's for a sale is better than most things, and that looks like the BU, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
We just saw in the cockpit. But yeah, it's just wild that this is just imagine if DFS adverts were like this. Get your Argos advert, and you're like, bloody hell.
We also get some shots of the intruder, as I recall. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe already missed it. I was too busy engaging in conversation with you, but we get to see the intruder, which we're still. And
this is vibing me. Have you seen any Sea Power? That game Sea Power, and seeing all those sea what do you call it? The
vampire.
Yeah. Getting big Sea Power vibes from that.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
It's very, very nice. This is just this is fantastic. Heatblur doing Heatblur things.
Yeah, they are indeed. We've got words asked when of the there's the intruder. Yeah, it's good to see that. It's kind of a little reminder in it. They're just going, we haven't forgotten.
Yeah,
we're supposed to be getting the AI one, weren't we? They said that wasn't that far off, the AI.
I can imagine that Heatblur have got rather a lot on their plate, so I don't think we should push them too hard on that stuff.
No, exactly. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I think I think what Heatblur are doing in general is really impressive, and they've got. I mean, just themselves, they've got a bunch of projects on. So Words just said when F4 carrier variants. So they've said someone's asked. I remember some forum post. Someone said, "Oh, are we getting a carrier?" And basically they were like, it's not an if but a when. But let's get other stuff done first. So I think they are working on. We're supposed to be getting the F14A early variant and the Persian cat.
Yeah,
We're supposed to be getting the DMAS upgrade, aren't we, for the F4? That's the one that's got the TZO and CCRP, I think it is, and some other
that's
cool
correct.
stuff.
Yeah.
We're getting obviously the Typhoon. We're getting the BU upgrade for the Tomcat,
Getting
and
the
then
early Tomcat.
we were supposed to be getting an AI Draken as well, weren't we? If I remember rightly,
Yes. AI
with
Draken.
the Vigan. And then on top of that, we got Typhoon and AI Intruder and the Full Intruder. So yeah, they've got their hands full.
I think they're
You
fine.
know,
I think they've got enough to be getting on
yeah.
with.
And they've got a port Jester to the F4. They said they're going to port Jester 2.0 to the F14 in general, aren't they as well? So
That's correct. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not going to give them too much extra.
No, they've already given us oh so much in the world of
Yeah.
DCS. I don't think we need to push them. People also asking about the Vigan, like, is the Vigan worth it? I have a complete tutorial series on the Vigan. Go and check that out. That'll give you a feel for what it's capable of and what it's like to fly. It is fantastically detailed. The Ericsson computer. Well, let's talk about the firsts for the Vigan. Okay, it's down low. It's just about the fastest aircraft ever.
Mm.
Like if you're flying treetop level, nothing goes as fast as the Vigan. It's crazy. It's maneuverable. It was the first aircraft to have a mission computer. It has the Ericsson computer on board. It was one of the first, or no, I think it is the first production military aircraft to have a heads-up display, which is kind of amazing as well. It has air-to-ground radar. Now, it's not like modern ground mapping radar. There's no processing going on here. You're getting like raw returns, but you can pick out targets using the radar. Either it's like very very well tuned for sea surface, so it picks out ships really well. The primary mission of this version of the Vigan was anti-shipping. But it can actually, you tune it and twiddle with it enough, you can actually pick out ground targets over the ground as well. So surprisingly good. It has that crazy sight for the Maverick. I don't know how many people remember this, but it's a CRT. Like when they added the Maverick to the Vigan cockpit was designed in very, very Swedish style to be like very, very minimalist, very simplistic, and very easy to read. And I think they did for the period. Keep in mind, this is 1960s. They did an amazing job. The cockpit, despite being steam gauges and all kinds of other strange things, is very easy to understand. But they then had the problem, okay, we don't have any displays, but we want to integrate Maverick. How the hell are we going to do it? So behind the cockpit, they installed a CRT facing upwards and then attached like what would you call it exactly? Like a Fresnel lens and a mirror to look down at the CRT. Only the Swedes. Only the Swedes would do this. Anybody else would be like, okay, we'll rip some stuff out and redesign parts of the cockpit and integrate a CRT. Look at what was done with the A10A. Whereas the Swedes were like, no, it still has to look just right.
Yeah.
So we're going to steampunk the hell out of this. Yes. So
Great, I love it.
if I haven't sold the Vigan to you yet,
Yeah.
If you haven't figured it out, I rather like it.
It's the thing people have to remember about the Vigan. Like you said, it was designed in the 60s and had such longevity to it. And
Yeah.
like you said, once you keep that in mind, you do look at the Vigan and go, it's a little bit weird how it does this and does that. You're actually like, wow, this is, for the time, it was so far ahead of its time. One of the things I really like is the idea of you've got the radar display and then the RWR is that ring around it,
And
which
the
is
HSI.
yeah, which is a really cool feature because
Yeah.
it kind of they all integrate really well. You're all looking in one place for all of that information. To be that ergonomic in that earlier stage of jet development, it's crazy.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, they call that the central indicator. So in the manual, literally the Swedes just call it the CI. That's the central indicator because it is the radar. It has an artificial horizon. It has the HSI. It has the RWR. And it also has pointers to show you to your currently selected INS waypoint. So it's
Yeah.
so many instruments all in one, and it's right in the center of the cockpit. And then, yeah, not to mention the fact that it has a very, very early implementation of something approximating an INS. It's hard to describe the navigational system in the Vigan because it has some gyros, but they're super, super drifty. And so it then supplements that with a terrain database. It figures out roughly where you are. It does dead reckoning like a human navigator would. It actually keeps track of the wind, so it knows your drift based on the wind as well. And then it also compares your height over the terrain using the radar altimeter with a terrain database to figure out, oh, okay, actually, you're higher right now than you should be. So that means that actually you're like 1 kilometer to the east of the location we thought you were in based on the terrain database, and starts adding like offsets and starts adjusting the INS position based on that. It's completely ridiculous. And Heatblur have simulated it fantastically, and you can even monitor it using the computer display. One of the modes that you can click the computer display into shows you the current positional accuracy, and it does vary based on maneuvering and how long it's been since you've taken a fix and things like that. It's just,
Mm.
don't even start me on the Vigan. I'll be talking about it for hours.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's almost like a very early version of like blended mode, isn't it? Like GPS/INS blended, but
Yeah,
instead of using obviously GPS and INS, like you said, it's using a combination of an early gyro, like you said, the GPS side of it is the terrain database that it's got, and then it's almost getting, like you said, these fixes for using the radar altimeter. It's fascinating stuff.
yeah.
It's really absolute ingenuity for the time. So yeah, no, it's a cool jet, and I mean I've not had, it's probably of the modules I've got, it's probably one I've had the least amount of hours in it, probably about 10-15 hours in it. But when I was flying around in it, it was super fun. And if I remember rightly, there was for longest time on the Enigma server, now Heatblur server, they add a script in so that it would detonate the Vigan if you flew too fast, because it was just getting to a stage where it was outrunning missiles and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So I think they added a script that if you went too quick, it would just detonate the jet.
Like I said, it is ridiculously fast at low level.
Yeah.
Eagle Wing saying, I wonder why the Swedish did not grow their military aircraft industry, considering the amount of success with the Vigan. They've never really had much success exporting aircraft. Like the Draken, Vigan, Gripen kind of series of aircraft in the last few decades were all very, very successful. But the problem is that, you know, the dominance of the US military aircraft industry with NATO and its partners is immense. Nobody's buying anything other than American, really, to be totally
Yeah.
honest. Like, you know, take a look at the French with Dassault. Dassault make amazing aircraft that very few people buy outside of
Yeah.
France. Okay, you know, they tend to sell them to Spain and they sell them in the Middle East and so on. Like the French have had way more success than the Swedes in this regard. But, you know, when people look at the American offerings, they tend to go American.
I mean, if you look at the British aerospace industry, you know,
Yeah, it's
if you
gone.
look at us, it's pretty much gone. It's
Yeah.
pretty much gone for all intents and purposes. So yeah, it's not just this. I mean, the fact that the Swedes have been able to hold out so long, and not only with the Gripen is a very capable,
Yeah.
very competitive jet, and
They
it's
have
not
managed to
like
export that one, actually.
yeah,
It's the first of that most recent series that has been exported. But, you know, would you call it successful? No, we're talking about very
yeah,
small orders for export.
yeah, absolutely. I Another thing I'd love to see in this, to just add more to Heatblur's pile, it would actually be pretty cool to see a JAS
Oh,
Vigan
the
as
air
well.
defense version.
Air defense version would be really
Mm,
cool, because that got Sky Flashes, didn't it? And then
yeah.
eventually got AMRAAMs.
The
Um,
problem is that that is basically a completely different aircraft. There's
yeah.
not much commonality between that version and the version we have. So
Oh yeah.
it's a different cockpit, it's a different radar, it's a different heads up display. Like everything's different.
Yeah, and it's basically like a C to an E, but even more different to
Yeah.
when you come to Eagle to Strike Eagle. So, yeah, it'd just be cool. I just loved it'd just be cool jet to see. And it had, if I remember rightly, it had data link. It had
It
a
did.
the later I think the mid to late version of it had a very good radar,
Yeah.
and obviously once they added AMRAAMs to it as well, it was a very potent aircraft. So yeah, and I think a lot of the technology, I think this is why it's not in DCS possibly, but a lot of the technology it pioneered then went into the Gripen, and it was also, I think, being used a lot as a test bed for
Hmm.
technology when they were developing the Gripen as well. So
Yeah. I would love to see a Gripen in DCS, but sadly, Gripen is massively top secret.
yeah,
Like whenever you talk to Swedish Air Force or anyone in the Swedish military about Gripen, they're always kind of like, nah, not
yeah.
telling you anything.
And just to reply to Mountain Man earlier on, just saw in the chat, he said about the F4J. They've been very clear that if Heatblur do a naval Phantom, it will be its own module
Hmm.
effectively. Again, it's a Phantom, but there's so many differences, like huge differences. Like if you just look up like F4J cockpit and then compare that to like an F4E cockpit, very
Yeah.
different. Even the same, it's got a lot of the same controls. They're in just in different places. They operate slightly differently. They do different things because the Navy F4s and the USAF F4s are very different. They started off close, with the B and the C. Then when you start getting to like F4E and F4J and F4S and all that kind of stuff in the later E models, you're looking at very different aircrafts because they were using the F4 Phantom in a very different way. So yeah, that's the only thing. If we do get an S or a J model F4, it's going to be a different module. I think it'll be its own $80 module. I think.
Hmm. And quite rightly so. Heatblur
Yeah, quite rightly
deserve
so.
our support.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. Alrighty. So yeah, I think that's everything with regards to the news that we have so far. I will take this opportunity again to remind you all to subscribe, like, and comment. It's a really big help to me and to the channel. And I will now take the opportunity to, as I often do, pimp the VAF. Sadly, John's beautiful face will disappear for a moment while I do so. Ah! So yes, the VAF. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. The VAF, or the Virtual Air Force, is a virtual online squadron originally started by myself in Dot Chuckles many moons ago. We currently fly on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at around about 8 p.m. UK time, and we have squadrons for the Harrier, F-16, and F-18. We're always looking for more pilots, air traffic controllers, mission makers, livery makers, scripters, all kinds of people. You're very, very welcome to come and join us. Click on the Discord link in the show notes below, and you're very welcome to join that and be there whether you fly with us or not. So yeah, consider checking out the Virtual Air Force. It's a lot of fun, and I'll bring Johnny Boy back now. There he is. So yeah, that's basically it. That's the Virtual Air Force. You've been John Bloor. Go to twitch.tv/John Bloor if you want to check out what John's been up to, and click the relevant button. I wonder if you want to give us a wee update, John, on your channel.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of spare time coming up the next sort of week or two, so I'll be doing a little bit more streaming where I can fit it in. The last thing I did was I did some illustration work for our boy Tricky Tricker,
Mm.
which I still need to follow up with him about. We were eventually going to make it some nice merchandise, but it was some great stuff I was doing. It was sort of an F-16 kind of, what do you call it, diorama would be the word for it. I don't know if that's the case for a piece of artwork, but yeah, it was like an F-16 doing some launching harms and doing, is it seed as they call it. That was cool. And then obviously I fly on DCS, so I mostly do rotary wing, but I do love the Harrier. I'll tell you what I have been doing is I've been jumping a little bit back off stream. I've been relearning the Hornet.
Oh,
That's the first jet I flew, and I was like, it's kind of like it's so funny when you fly these different aircraft and then you go back to the Hornet, you're like, everything's like easy mode. It's like it does everything in a really just straightforward like way. It does everything you need it to do. You can see why the Hornet has been such a successful aircraft,
it's a great
not only in
aircraft.
DCS and IRL. It just does what you need it to do and
Yeah.
does pretty much everything pretty well. So yeah, it's been a fun thing. But yeah, I'll be doing some more DCS stuff. One of the things I just want to mention before we wrap up as well, because I think it's worth mentioning because it was on last week. Good friend at least of myself, Hammy, he's doing a Canine for Warriors event this weekend, I think, and people can get involved. They can watch and they can get involved themselves. and it's all to do with everything from carrier landings to like canyon runs to bomb lofting, and they're basically trying to get a bunch of donations for I think it's for service dogs to sort of help different people and stuff. So they're streaming this over this whole weekend, and it's all for kind of a good cause kind of thing. I think all the donations help that out. And Hammy's a really good dude as well. He's a good laugh. So if you guys are looking for something to watch over the weekend or get involved with or have some fun or help put something towards a good cause, that's happening over this weekend. So if you look at the last newsletter, so not this one, but the one before, there'll be a Discord link in there, and there'll be some more extra information. And I think if you just look up, I think he's called Hammy on Twitch. I think he's called on Twitch. You'll find Hammy. He's probably streaming at the moment, so go check him out. He's a great dude, and it's a good cause.
Nice. Yes, yeah, we covered that last week. Absolutely do that. That's a good cause for sure. Excellent. Yeah. And yeah, I've been Deepak. I post a new tutorial video every Saturday at around about 6:30 p.m. UK time, and that's always followed by the DCS news. But before I do my outro, there's two little things I want to do. I want to call out Deepak's Ground Crew, and I also want to remind everybody that I'm going to jump into the Deepak's Ground Crew Discord after this, and I'll be in the voice channel, probably about 5 minutes or so after the end of the stream, because I'll need a moment to get set up. But thank you very much, those of you who are already Deepak's Ground Crew members. You can join by clicking the join button below. For the cost of but a cup of coffee per month, you could be supporting me in creating this content. Thank you very much, Channel Right, JR Walker, Fishy's Canal, Mr. Yeti, SeanAm81, John Bloor, Tea Kettle Barbecue, Whiskey Dale, Stuart McLean, Mangash, Exorcist, Frantic, Willow Wilson, Byron Farrow, Osprey, Snublarin, Whoopaz, Laskin75, Interesting Story, Pink Floyd, Samantha, and Alice. Thank you all very much indeed for your support. So yeah, that just leaves me to say I've been Deepak. Like I said, tutorial videos every Saturday, followed by the DCS news, which just happens to be this thing what you're watching right now. Thank you all very much for watching. Fly safe, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ta.